Good morning. My name is Jason Johnson, and I'm with Focus Counseling and Therapy in Daphne, Alabama. What I want to talk today is not necessarily a pleasant topic. It's about child abuse. Now, reading from the National Child Abuse Statistics, we have about 4.1 million child maltreatment referral reports, and that involve about 7.5 million children. Now, 74% are neglected, and it's 8.6% are physically abused. And most of these happen to be under one. And the violators range from 18 until you just keep going up. Now, I'm not mentioning sexual abuse for a reason, and that is because that's a different form of pathology that we can get into another day. The reason I want to talk about physical abuse, lately, two reasons. One, I have had more and more clients who have been touched directly or indirectly by this. I've had colleagues who've had to deal with this, and you read more and more about it. And recently been reading a book called Addiction and Grace. And one of the things it talks about is addictions not just being chemicals that we ingest, but behaviors and thoughts. And it got me thinking about this. Perhaps we're one of those people that stubs our toe, and the first thing we want to do is kick the coffee table, even though the coffee table is not what necessarily stubbed our toe, at least not on purpose. Or a door, we accidentally bump into a door and we hit the door. Or the files file off our desk and we just get really ticked off and throw a pin across the room. These can become addictive behaviors. They are responses from a stimuli. Now, this video is really for those mothers who have, or fathers who have small children, because those children can run the risk of being the recipient of the response of something that causes us frustration. I have small children. Well, I used to have small children, but I remember when they would act up in the mornings, about 2 o'clock in the morning, they'd want to eat when I'd have to work the next day, or they would cry and whine and just you know how, like, if you've had a small child, they can be quite taxing, not just physically but also mentally and emotionally. And if we're one of those individuals that flies off the handle or gets upset real easily or stressed out real easily, we run the risk of physically harming our child. Never met one person who did not regret it. And it's not because they mean it. Something happens and they don't sit there and say, okay, I am going to hurt this child. No. Most of the time it's because, bam, I stubbed my toe, metaphorically speaking, and this child's in front of me, and I'm going to take out my frustration on this child. So if you are a young parent or a parent or are planning on being one, and you're someone that tends to have a tendency to act out when you get upset, when you get hurt, when you get stressed out, acting out physically, and you may want to look at that. You may want to go talk to somebody, do some self-reflection to try to get control, to learn ways to cope and adapt when you get upset. And likewise, the reverse is true. This thing can be cyclical. Maybe you were one of those kids who received that, where you had a parent that got upset, metaphorically stubbed the toe, would get frustrated, have a bad day at work, and then you would be the one that would be the receiver of the response of the frustration. And that can cause damage, and it can be cyclical, and it can lead on to generation to generation. So I also encourage you to speak to somebody. there are those who have been trained to work with individuals on both ends of the spectrum. Those who are thinking about having small kids and those who have been victims of abuse. Because it is a behavior that is learned. It is a behavior that is a response from a stimulus that we get that's usually from a frustration or pain. And our response is often something that we don't really want to do, but we have always done it that way. And unfortunately, children can be the ones that are the subject or the focus of that response. So I know it's not a fun video to talk about, but the mistreatment of children, the abuse of children is a growing problem, and it's one that can be controlled, but we need to be open and honest with ourselves. You know, how do I respond when I get frustrated or upset? Thank you for listening to this video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.